I appreciate you joining me tonight. I wanted to do a brief video on ESG and explain what that is and the social credit score that you're hearing about. And the reason that this topic came up is because here in Idaho, Glenn Beck came and visited with a number of our currently elected leaders in this state. And I'm really grateful he did, because this is an issue that has not gotten nearly enough attention as it ought to. But I know a lot of people, these terms are relatively new to a lot of you. I want to take some time to explain it, because these are really important things to understand for the future of this country and for the future of Idaho. And we'll go ahead and start with ESG. And I'll take everyone's questions at the end, but to just kind of explain, or actually as we go, if you have questions, feel free to ask. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. And all it is it's a way to grade corporations based on this set of criteria and how they perform according to those three factors. So, and people ask, well, who's doing the grading? Well, financial corporations, these big banks, right? They're the ones who are doing the grading, and they have teams of financial analysts that know these corporations inside and out. They're the ones who kick the tires and know what's going on down on the factory floor and the like. And they give them the demerits, or they mark them up depending on how well they play along with the criteria. So the first one that these financial companies are using are environmental. Pretty simple. If your corporation operates within the United Nations guidelines to how a corporation ought to behave, then you get marked up. But if you're an oil company, if you're a firm that deals with nuclear power, you basically get downgraded big time. The other one is social. So the first one's environmental, the second one's social. Social, and you can look up this criteria. One of them, it says, does that corporation support LGBTQIA plus causes? Do they make firearms or ammunition? And so they go, how many, you get the picture. It goes on and on and on. There's tons of criteria. And the last one is governance, which is what's the makeup of the management and the like. Is there racial diversity? And that's really the only diversity they care about. It's just the color of your skin. It doesn't matter about the content of your character or the quality of your ideas. Diversity is just marked on color of skin and nothing else. And if you have a racially diverse board, then you get marked up. Here is why this is really important. So those three things, environmental, social, and governance, they call it ESG. It's really important to understand, because what has happened is ever since we started allowing banks to operate across state lines in this country, these banks like JP Morgan Chase, State Street, BlackRock, they have, I should say banks and finance companies, but anyways, we don't need to get into the weeds. They've started buying up other financial institutions, and they're gobbling them up, and they've grown to an obscene, massive size. Think of Wells Fargo, right? You could go down the list. These banks now control a significant portion of what we would say the capital flow, how the money flows throughout our country. And when those banks start to determine, hey, your company does not play ball with our woke ideology, and your company does not donate to our woke causes, then what they start doing is they start kneecapping them. And they say, well, you're going to have to pay a higher interest rate. You're not going to have access to the capital markets, meaning we're not going to allow our money managers who manage just incredible sums of money, billions and hundreds of billions of dollars. We're not going to invest in your company. And when these companies don't have access to favorable loans, and they don't have access to money through the stock market, what ends up happening is their competitors who have access to the cheap money or the free money, their competitors can charge less for their products and their services. Thus, more people use that company, less people use this other non-woke company because they're not as competitive. It's a natural force of economics. ESG is a measure to control the economy and our behavior and corporate behavior and nothing more. And it's done through multinational corporations that have no allegiance to any country. They have no allegiance to any peoples or any ideology. And this is important for you to understand because these are the corporations that our politicians, by and large, answer to. Same thing with Facebook coming into Idaho. They were given about $50 million in tax breaks. Facebook was by the Idaho state government, the Idaho Department of Commerce. And our current governor, he claps and celebrates and says, oh, it's going to create 100 new jobs. Do you think they're going to hire your sons and daughters here in Idaho? You think that's what Facebook is going to do? I think you're in for a surprise if that's the case. What causes do you think Facebook is going to support here in Idaho? Do you think that they're going to support somebody like a Ron DeSantis? Or when they open up their checkbook to make political contributions, do you think they're going to support someone more like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Facebook is here and is going to move Idaho to the left. And the most incredible part about it is you and I, we're the ones who are footing the bill for. We give them our tax dollars so that they can profit with that money and turn our state more blue. This is what's happened. You want to know what happened in Colorado, Georgia, Arizona, and now Texas? You're watching it unfold before your very eyes, and you're helping to foot the bill. So ESG companies like Facebook, big tech companies, they always do really well. They get these super high ESG scores, better rates and the like. Now here's the other side of that, and that is the social credit score. So think of ESG like a credit score for a corporation. And that one's powerful because every time you make a deposit into your 401k or IRA or whatever you have, that money goes into all these big money funds, and those managers take your money and they invest it only in these woke corporations, right? And that's how you also play into the demise across our country. But this credit score for corporations, it works for individuals too. The Chinese Communist Party has created a social credit score. It's quite simple, folks. Did you do what you were told? Your credit score goes up. Did you not, right? Did you take the medical treatments that your government demanded? Your score goes up. Did you support President Trump? Well, oh boy, that you're a higher risk individual because, Trump supporters, oh gosh, right? When they can start grading you based on the social credit score, they can control you in every way. Think of how powerful it would be if suddenly you went out, you wanted to go buy a new home, and you were told, well, you see, your credit score is okay, but your social credit score, not so great. So we're actually going to have to charge you another 1% premium on your mortgage, which for my friends who own a home, another 1% interest on your mortgage, that's a significant part of your net worth you're going to pay to that bank. But what it is, and over time, and this is the key, this is how through capitalism, socialism, and communism will actually be enacted. Here's the powerful part. You can actually enact a program like reparations by using what I just described to you. You essentially say, and by the way, Joe Biden, his picks for the Federal Reserve Board, there are people who advocate these kind of ideas, and they say, look, if you're white, you have a debt that you got to pay to society, so we're going to charge you more interest. But if you're what we deem as a minority, and remember, they choose who's a minority, then you're going to pay less in interest. That right there, that's a transfer of wealth. Do you see how this is playing out? This is why I think it's really powerful to have a finance guy who understands economics, understands what groups like the World Economic Forum are doing. I watched what happened in Davos for more than just one time. I know what Klaus Schwab wants for this world, and I'm following it very closely. And Idaho, just so you know, we're playing into it, lock, stock, and barrel, through and through. And it sickens me. If you don't tackle this ESG and the social credit score issue, what you're going to have is immense corporate control. And I would encourage you, there's a movie, it's rated R, so not for everybody, but there's a movie, I think it was out in the 70s, called Network. And actually, without even watching the movie, you can just search. It's one of the most famous monologues, I think, in Hollywood history on this movie Network, and leave it to Hollywood to tell you really what the plan was. But it's a really powerful scene where you have this corporatist that's explaining the way of the world to a man who it disrupted and disturbed the natural order. Because he was waking people up and arming them with the truth. And it's incredible because it talks about how, every need's going to be satisfied, every boredom amused. And does this sound like Klaus Schwab or what? And, Klaus Schwab, it's just like out of the movie Network. He says, you're not going to own anything and you'll love it. And you'll be happy, right? We're going to make you happy because we know better than you. Folks, this is really, really dangerous. This ESG's already gone too far. I'll tell you. So I have a master's in finance, undergrad in business management. I have a graduate certificate in financial analysis, a Series 7, Series 66. I have to tell you, as I've read a lot of financial material and textbooks, they're all teaching what this is. They call it stakeholder capitalism. What it is the absolute height of crony corporatism, unabashed, just corporate welfare, where these corporations actually begin to serve government functions and they get to impose their will upon us. And what you'll see is all these small and medium-sized companies will get bought out, which how many years has that been happening for? They'll all get bought out by the big money, and these corporations will exercise more control over the supply chain. They'll determine what can be delivered to your house and what can't. But soon enough, if we don't turn this around, what they're going to do is they are actually going to be able to pick and choose who can participate in the modern economy and who cannot. And you will quickly find out when you look at somebody over their lifetime, when you have to pay more in insurance, whatever insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, health insurance, because you had a bad social credit score. You had to pay more for the loans that you've received. You didn't get certain job opportunities because of your social credit score. You're going to find that over a lifetime, you have worked years of your life for somebody else, to prop up somebody else. And that is socialism. That is communism. Folks, we are walking headlong into it. This isn't a conspiracy theory. For crying out loud, you have some of the best and brightest professors in the world at Hillsdale College. I encourage you, look at the latest issue of Imprimis, their free newsletter. You can go online right now and look it up. Read about the Great Reset. Read about what the World Economic Forum and these international nationless bodies want for you in your life. And you'll see very clearly what's at hand. I believe Idaho has to paint the way and show the rest of the country that there is a way out of this insanity. And there's not many states that you could disrupt the machinery that has been built by corporate America, by the politicians. But in Idaho, we can do that because there's less than 2 million people here. And chances are 100,000 votes for a candidate would determine who your next governor would be. This is possible, but I'll tell you right now, do you think that the media is going to give me the opportunity to express this message to all Idahoans? Yeah, right. Not going to happen. Do you think that these big corporations are just going to sink millions of dollars into my campaign to give me a bigger megaphone to educate everyone about what's going on? Not going to happen. Here's the only way that this works. It is on my heart that my example would inspire you to step up in ways you never have before. We are at that point where there's almost no going back. And I believe in underdogs. I believe in the American dream and that we have that resilience. We can always bounce back. I think we can, and now is that time. But you have to understand, look around America and watch, open your eyes, see what is happening. Look what they're doing in Canada to the truckers, where they can just freeze assets, shut down their bank accounts because, well, they didn't play ball. They're going to go after anyone and everyone who doesn't play ball, corporations like Facebook and Amazon and Walmart and the like. I have a solution to this. I believe Idaho needs a governor that will not use our tax dollars to reward giant corporations. We need a governor who will abolish the state income tax so that we're all rewarded with the fruits of our own labors. That's powerful. I believe that we need a governor who's not going to cut deals with multinational corporations to come in and use up all of our water and let our farmers fend for themselves when the drought comes. That's what's been happening. Follow the campaign finance reports and the like. I think that will become clear to you. But I'll tell you, this government, our state government, Idaho state government, truly has become the ultimate expression of American society at this point. I would describe it as self-destruction. We are destroying ourselves with our own tax dollars. It is me pitted against me now. And I'm working day and night to try and break that cycle. And at the same time, we pay our taxes to fund a system that wants to permanently silence people like me. And platforms like this do it better than just about any other. I get the same level or less engagement now on a lot of my posts here on this platform on Facebook, now with almost 10,000 followers than I had with 2,000 followers. They're only going to allow my message to get to a few people. The only way to break through it is you share the message. You talk to people. You share this video on your page and through Messenger and through text. You attend an event and bring friends. You have to get to an event and you have to bring your friends, because those connections you'll establish in your community will benefit this state. I promise you, your life will benefit from it, your community will benefit from it, and our country will survive because of it. But it doesn't happen if we allow them to build the walls around us. And the only way to do that is you've got to get out. You've got to connect with people in person. Please, I'm begging you, go to the events on my website, edforidaho.com, and see we're having events all over the state. I'm traveling the whole state once every 3 to 4 weeks. We have an event tonight, actually, in Boise. And please come tonight. Go on the events here on Facebook, and you'll see as well. But I hope this was helpful. I'm happy to take any of your questions about ESG and the social credit score. I'll tell you while you guys are thinking any questions you want to ask. I was really pleased to see Glenn Beck talk about modern monetary theory, and we could really get in the weeds on that, believe it or not. And this is really wild to me. I feel like my life has kind of intersected a lot of this insanity that I'm watching unfold, because I wrote my thesis for my master's on modern monetary theory, and I saw what the left is really trying to do and how they're going to try to manipulate the Financial Reserve, and how they're going to manipulate our currency to benefit their agendas. And it was deeply concerning to me, but it's a more complex financial topic to cover. And so I didn't figure this would be getting in the mainstream. I couldn't be more proud of Glenn Beck traveling this country to educate Americans on modern monetary theory. The long and the short of it is it's a whole idea that you can just print more money, print your way out of any problem that you create, and that government is really the one to end the business cycle so that it's just always perfect business conditions, right? The government will provide that, and they'll provide that through things like a job guarantee, on all these different government programs, and they'll pick, just like they do now, which banks that they inject. It's wild sums of money, unimaginable sums of money to prop up our financial system in this country and control it. But it looks like you guys have a lot to digest. I've not seen any questions. I'm going to go ahead and end there, but I appreciate you joining me. I hope to see you at an event soon.